more stability for children with this approach. However, I sincerely believe that the punishment, and it does need to fit the crime, but regardless of gender, but there must and there has to be a red line standard that isn't crossed for female offenders.
Mrs Ryan, for your chairmanship. I congratulate my honourable friend from Stretford and Urmston for securing this debate today. It's 12 years since Baroness Corston published a review on the vulnerabilities of women in the judicial system. In that review, she highlighted the disproportionate and inappropriate sentences that women face for minor, non-violent offences and the chaos and disruption experienced by their families. And she spoke about the many women who were and still are victims of domestic violence, sexual abuse, addiction and childhood neglect, and who end up in prison due to a lack of support. In 2017, 10 years after the Corston Review, 74% of Welsh women in prison were serving sentences of less than 6 months, double the amount that were serving such short sentences when the report was published. And with no female prison in Wales, and we don't want one, Mrs Ryan, these women are serving their sentences on an average 101 miles from their family. What help is that to a woman who's in turmoil or to a child who's desperately missing their mother? In April this year, the Welsh Labour Government scrapped outdated and disproportionate prison sentences for those getting into council tax debt, more often than not, women. It was clear that sending these women to prison for perhaps 12 weeks because they couldn't afford to pay the money they owed was going to be of no benefit to anyone. For me, one of the key necessities in an increase in the number of women's centres as an alternative to prisons is essential. Earlier this month, I visited the Nelson Trust in Gloucester. It was like a breath of fresh air for me. Women offenders being supported, educated and counselled in a suitable environment, enabling them to remain with their families and preparing them for a future away from the criminal justice system. In the strategy, the government have committed to developing 5 more women's centres as a pilot across England and Wales. And please don't forget Wales. But women's centres are central to the success of the female offender strategy. They make financial sense and they will benefit society as a whole. Not only will female offenders be supported in a trauma-informed environment, but when they complete their sentence, they will be in a position to move on with their life and with a positive outlook for the future. At the moment, too many women are leaving prison after short sentences in dire straits. They are often homeless, unemployable and desperate, which is why reconviction rates and recalls are so high for female offenders. The key to all of this and to the strategy as a whole, like most things, is funding. None of the recommendations or promises in the strategy can happen if the Ministry of Justice do not commit financially to them. And we know there will be money available from the sale of HMP Holloway. Money which should unquestionably be used to improve specialist services for women across the criminal justice system. Services like the Treasures Foundation, founded by Mandy Ogamokam, which was established to provide a safe, female-only recovery environment to support women to overcome their issues and equip them with the tools needed to live a healthy and happy life. We need further settings like this right across the UK to transform women's lives. We urgently, Minister, need the commitment from the government that they are serious enough about the strategy to make the funds available. We have to get this right. We owe it to society and we owe it to the women that we need to be supporting.
Yeah.